We are back, and I've seen Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and this will be a spoiler-free, quick review. I enjoyed the movie. Out of all of the films, I would say this ranks number 4, right behind Last Crusade. I loved every minute of it in regards to the subject matter that they covered, the fact that Indiana Jones is an old man, the trials and tribulations that he has suffered since the last time we've seen him in Crystal Skull. The beginning of the film was fantastic. I really enjoyed the flashback. Yes, it's like 20-25 minutes worth of a young Indiana Jones. I will say the CGI de-aging of Harrison Ford is hit or miss. And where it works really, really well is when he's not moving. Like when they pull the hood and he's revealed. That shot holds up amazingly on screen. But when the action's going, it gets a little wonky. It's almost as if the face thing can't keep up with the action, so it gives a very smeared, blurred look as things go on. But there are shots that you haven't seen of him de-aged that are mind-blowing. Be prepared for that 25-minute segment to blow your mind. Yes, there are some weak parts with it, the CGI, but the action and everything that transpires is fantastic. And then there's a hard cut to 1969. So you start off with the Nazis. And then what's really interesting is how the movie really kicks off on the day the Apollo mission is having their ticker tape parade in New York City in 1969. It's also the last day that Indiana Jones is going to be a professor at a college. He is retiring. And you see, unlike in the first film in the 1930s, where all of the kids are excited to listen to him. And, you know, he's this young, charismatic teacher that all the girls are pawning over. He's an old man that no one really wants to hear because they're more interested in space and like what's going on in the future versus what's going on in the past. And so you can see as he's trying to teach, they're distracted. And there's a lot of these kind of things that can be reflected on in today's world when it comes to the education system. You're seeing the kids, they don't really care. They just want to hear about the Apollo mission. And granted, that time in history was a big deal. But you can see that Harrison playing the character, he's a man out of time. All the passions and things that he had and loved, no one else is really interested in anymore. And so he's dealing with that. So on this day, you know, he's gonna throw back a drink and doesn't care, and his life is kind of over at this point. And then, of course, his goddaughter shows up and one last adventure ensues. But it's not really an adventure where he's in the beginning looking or trying to get the object, the MacGuffin. He is trying to stop his goddaughter from doing some pretty bad stuff. There have been a lot of people out there who have reviewed the movie that have said the third act is a little wonky. But if you look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, or Last Crusade, including Crystal Skull, have a very wild take on a resolution. And this doesn't stray from that formula. But if you buy into Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and you say that that's one of your favorite out of the franchise, at the end of that film, Indiana Jones has to select the Cup of Christ. But not only that, he's next to a 700-year-old, one of the Knights of the Round Tables, one of Arthur's men, who's been locked in a cave protecting the Cup of Christ for 700 years. And the only thing he has is a book to read and the cup of Christ to keep sipping water out of to sustain him until someone vanquishes him. If you believe that, there's no reason why you can't believe what happens at the end of this film. The ending had me welling up with tears. I loved having Sala in the film, the way they peppered him in. There were a lot of mirrors to the other films, paying homage to the other films, even themes from the other films. Helena's story is much like Indiana Jones's story in Temple of Doom. Her character arc, just like his towards the end of that film, changes her for the better, which I think is great. She wasn't some annoying character that the interweb is trying to spin her into. She wasn't that at all. Mads Mikkelsen played a great villain. His henchmen were fantastic. I will say that this particular Indiana Jones film has to have the highest body count of any Indiana Jones film that has been made. I'd love to know if somebody's going to count how many people drop in this movie, because they kill a lot of people. Now, not necessarily Indiana Jones killing the people, it's the circumstances that get the people killed. And so it's got a high body count. It's a little bit of a darker film. So if you take the darkness of Temple of Doom and you take Raiders of the Lost Ark and you mix them together and you take the ending of The Last Crusade and you make that the third act of this movie, you literally are getting the best of all three of the original Indiana Jones films in one movie. It is a story about age and time and a person being out of his own time and the clock winding down on someone's life. If you go into it looking at it like that, this is not like Mark Hamill in The Last Jedi. This is not that movie, and I applaud them for taking the risks and doing the things that they will do. I say see this on the big screen and enjoy one last ride with an iconic character and just have fun.